Hi, I'm Wendy Turner, Executive Director of Michigan Public. You might have heard that public media is under threat. You're not wrong. But I come to tell you that your voice has power. Visit protectmypublicmedia.org, contact your lawmakers, and take a stand today.
After more than 15 years in some of the country's finest kitchens, Ken Miller still gets nervous when anyone tries his food for the first time.
Oh, yeah. Every single time, I put a dish in front of somebody, there's always this imposter syndrome where it's like, nope, this is it, I'm done. That comes with the territory of caring about what you do, though, right? You want people to enjoy it, but you're putting a little bit of yourself into every dish, right? It's not just, oh, we can just cook a piece of fish and throw brown butter and capers all over it and, do the same thing that everybody else has done. But this is a kind of a creative version of personality onto a plate as well. So it's a sense of vulnerability. My name is Ken Miller, and today we're going to be working on Lake Erie walleye with cucumber, dill, fennel, and white onion.
Every chef has that one dish that tells you something important about who they are and what fires them up. For Ken Miller, it's about balancing the warmth of the dishes in our comfort zone with the thrill of discovering a new flavor.
There's a little bit of discovery in this dish, especially coming from the everything-bagel miso. But even then, that's nowadays most people have at least had miso in some sort of way. So it's not so foreign, but it creates an element of interest.
Today, we're cooking with Ken Miller, a chef consultant who discovered a passion for fermentation, preservation, and waste management while working in some of Chicago's finest restaurants. We'll also talk about experimenting with ferments, including his everything-bagel miso, cooking methods inspired from Japanese and Nordic cultures, and an instinct to do things on his own terms. After attending culinary school at Le Cordon Bleu in Chicago, and then cooking at a 2 Michelin-star restaurant in that city, Ken Miller came back to Michigan, sharpening his skills as a sous chef at the Apparatus Room in Detroit, and then as executive chef at Toasted Oak in Novi. He and his wife Ashley are now co-owners of a dining concept called Yarrow. You can hire them for private events, to help with menu concepts and development, or collaborate with them on a project.
So we'll have things like, oysters served with elderberry, mignonette.
Ken describes a menu he's currently working on.
We'll have things like a fish crudo served with sea buckthorn juice that is fortified with some fermented carrot and honey. And then also the dish that we're going to be working on today, which is, the walleye with cucumber and dill and some fennel and onion.
Gravitating towards fish and seafood, what initially drew me to Ken and what he's doing at Yarrow is his Japanese and Nordic-inspired dishes, pulling from both cooking methods with a Midwestern sensibility.
It's kind of finding these parallels that may not be necessarily very apparent, but if you look at Japanese culture and Nordic cultures, it's very much surrounded by ocean. There's a lot of seafood, there's a lot of seaweeds, there's also tons of fermentation that happens across both cultures. And so finding the balance between the, more Japanese ethos of we want to have just the best ingredient that is just kind of celebrated for what it is, and then taking also that Nordic ethos of being very woodsy, being very oceany, and then we apply it to the Great Lakes region. One of the things that I really gravitate towards with Japanese attention to detail is that you'll find places in Japan where a restaurant or just a little shop and they only do one thing. You go in there and you only get they have 2 or 3 things on the menu, but they're done so exceptionally well. A lot of that culture is just, it celebrates people becoming masters at what they do. And it's also, there's a lot of simplicity in the things that they do. It's just so very detail oriented. After having worked in, fine dining, that attention to detail, finding the most simple but effective ways to celebrate these ingredients.
More with Ken Miller when we come back.
Hi, I'm Wendy Turner, Executive Director of Michigan Public. You might have heard that public media is under threat. You're not wrong. But I come to tell you that your voice has power. Visit protectmypublicmedia.org, contact your lawmakers, and take a stand today.
That attention to detail is evident in the dish Ken is making for us today. A delicate walleye fillet that's been cured with salt and sugar, a little bit of his everything-bagel miso and charred cucumber juice brushed on top, and a thin layer of sliced fresh cucumbers.
Yeah, so we just take some English cucumbers and we throw it onto the grill just to get them nice and like blistered, but still raw on the outside. And then we just take those and put them through the juicer. So we get a little bit of a depth of flavor.
Oh, that smells so good. Fresh pressed cucumber. That smells amazing.
So now that the fish has been dressed and shingled, it's going to go into a vacuum seal bag, and then we're going to poach it sous vide for about 10 minutes.
What's the temperature on the water?
56 degrees Celsius, so pretty low, but fish proteins denature at a lower temperature, so we're trying to make it just like a perfectly cooked piece of fish without it leaching too much of its juices and like making the cucumber like fall off of it.
Do you often use a sous vide process?
Not that often. Honestly, it's one of those things where there's a lot of plastic waste involved with it. So found some people that make biodegradable vacuum seal bags, but they're kind of inaccessible at the moment. So it's one of those things that I'll use it every once in a while, but I kind of am kicking myself every time I do.
A better example of Ken's no-waste philosophy might be his 5-year-old everything-bagel miso. Miso is used a lot in Japanese cooking. It's a paste made from fermented soybeans, different grains, and koji, a type of mold. The ingredients go through a fermentation process to create the miso. So when Ken ran into a surplus of bagels, he found a way to give them new life.
At Toasted Oak back 2019 in November, we were expecting a huge banger of a weekend. We accidentally ordered too many bagels, and instead of throwing them away, freezing them, like nobody likes the thawed frozen bagels, so mixed up the bagels with a little bit of water just to break them down. We mixed in the koji, the salt, and then we packed it into a bucket, and then we got shut down for COVID. And I took this bucket home with me, and to be completely honest, I kind of forgot about it. And then a couple months later, when we reopened, I was bringing some of my equipment back to the restaurant, and I was like, oh, let's check this out. So I brought it in, and we opened it up, and it's perfume of like sweet, fruity, the spices that are on the everything seasoning, and it was just, we're like, well, all right, we have to try this now. So we took off the protective layer and dug a spoon into it, and it was just this explosion of sweetness and umami, and it was like, it never should have existed, but it does, right? And this was one of those things. It was, it was born out of trying to not throw something away, and that kind of, really kind of solidified this, like, how else can we employ these practices? How else can we like transform something that was a mistake into something that's you cannot purchase anywhere? So also it smells...
Can I smell it?
Yeah, absolutely. It smells chocolatey and like kind of like
Oh,
dried
wow.
figs.
Yeah, definitely smells like miso. Can I taste it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's probably about 4.5% salt, like after like the amount of time that it's aged.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, it's all of those flavors just came organically from the koji itself, and then also the amount of time that it's been aging.
Wow, you do get that like almost chocolate, salty, like just so many flavors. It's hard to describe.
Ken is no stranger to taking like protein waste, for instance, fermenting it with kojis and different ferments and turning it into seasonings and sauces, garums.
That's Joseph Van Wagner. He's the executive chef of the soon-to-open Echelon Kitchen and Bar in downtown Ann Arbor. As a friend and sometimes collaborator, Joe says he admires Ken's culinary philosophy of waste management through preservation.
We would save all of our fish scrap, octopus heads, even beef scrap, and he's able to turn that via fermentation and monitoring the pH and the salinity and all these things. He's able to turn that into a sauce that I guess the closest thing that we would know that's on most of our tables is like Worcestershire or soy sauce. And it's incredible what he's able to do with what most chefs are just throwing in the garbage. He is so in tune with what grows naturally and what is native to Michigan. I mean, he's really big on like Saskatoon, pawpaw, things that food professionals have almost forgotten about. I mean, you can drive anywhere with him down the side of the road. You could point out like 10 or 12 things that are edible and can be used for this, and you can make a tea out of this or a sauce out of this. It's pretty incredible.
What are these here? These little like flowers?
So these are lilac blooms that we picked from my backyard, and they've been soaking in apple cider vinegar made from Michigan Gala apples. So this is just going to be a little bit of a acidic pop to go on the accompaniment for the fish.
That color, that bright green color is just beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, that's most of the vibrant color is kind of coming from the blanched and pureed spinach. Most of the flavor that's going to come through is going to be largely due to the charred cucumber and then the accent of the fennel vinegar.
Oh, that smells wonderful.
Just real anisey and delightful, and just a little bit of acidity to kind of balance out the dish, but too much of it and it'll ruin that nice green color.
When you're designing a dish, can you walk us through like your thought process?
Sometimes it's just we let the ingredients kind of like tell us what they want us to do to them. Other times, like this is kind of a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek for me. So everybody has probably had an everything bagel with some cucumbers and some smoked fish and dill and things like that. So this is taking a classic kind of flavor combination and just kind of reimagining it, right? I hate the term deconstructed because that's not what it is, but it's taking a tried and true flavor profile that works and just kind of refining it a little bit.
Okay, so what are you doing here?
So we have a few minutes before the fish is going to be done. So I'm going to put together the accompaniment, which is going to be just very nicely diced, lightly cooked fennel dressed with an onion cream that has been fortified with a little bit of white wine. So very, very kind of like digging back into like my French roots from kitchens I've been in the past. And then, yeah, we're going to keep the fish and the sauce like kind of separate as its own like very minimalist own dish, and then just have something that supports all of those flavors on the side so that we can have almost like two dishes like in one.
If there was something that, you know, years of working in fine dining has taught you, what do you think that experience brings to what you're doing today?
Probably I guess like a tenacity to not quit as soon as something like gets hard, or like as soon as something is maybe it doesn't work the first time, right? Like just because an idea doesn't get fleshed out immediately, that doesn't mean that it's not something that can be refined and tweaked. And at the end of it, what could we take away from it to make truly the essence of like what the dish should be?
So you kind of tweak and you come back at it again.
Yeah, I think for every success, and I think a lot of people can kind of agree on this, but like for every successful dish, there's probably, half a dozen failures behind it. It's all about honoring the process, learning from your mistakes, learning new things, and then a lot of times it's what not to do to something.
With the walleye poached and the fennel sautéed, Ken plates today's dish.
Okay, so this is Lake Erie walleye that's been brushed with everything-bagel miso and layered with slices of lightly blanched cucumber, finished with a little bit of rose salt, paired with a sauce made from charred cucumber, fennel vinegar, and dill oil that's been thickened with just a touch of spinach puree. And to accompany the dish on the side, we're serving it with just gently cooked fennel with onion cream, some lilac blooms that have been preserved in Michigan apple cider vinegar, with some dill fronds, and then also a few Dame's Rocket blooms.
Okay, so I'm going to go into the walleye. It's so fresh and so like delicate. I don't think I've had walleye quite like this. Like the flavor is just really beautiful.
Yeah. So very much. So we want something to be refreshing and light, and also, not too heavy. Like we're not searing the fish. Like we're not building up too much of this complex roasty flavor. We really just want like the freshness of the freshwater fish and the cucumber and dill and everything to kind of create this balance.
And that miso's coming out, and the fennel has that cream, so it's a little richer, and then the fish is just so light and wonderful. So what inspired your decision to transition from high-end dining to focus on smaller, more intimate dining experiences?
It's very challenging to try to stick to very, very focused self-restriction when it comes to food and the way that we build our dishes and where we get our ingredients from. It's very niche, right? Not a lot of people necessarily understand it, so like we're trying to build an experience, and if starting out with just very small, intimate groups is kind of the way for us to get started, that's kind of what we felt we had to do.
What was it about working at these larger establishments like? What was it about the industry that you wanted to change?
There is an astronomical amount of food waste that happens in the industry. The food waste, and then also just the incredible push and burnout, right? Like that's one of the other motivators for us to do things on our own terms, is so that we can try to find that balance of life where we can create balance and focus and harmony with like our philosophical side, like on the plate, but then also not kill ourselves doing it. One of the other things about like why fermentation, preservation, waste mitigation like really does kind of like make sense for not just myself, but like for everybody, like the industry at large, is there's some major financial incentive in it as well. Like take the we'll just use the bagel miso as an example. It's probably at least like $200 worth of bagels that was turned into something that we're using a much smaller amount of. We get much more longevity out of it, and it's a value-added product. We can use it to elevate other things as well. So it's not just a cost-saving thing, but you can increase the value of the dishes that you're putting out in front of guests. So yeah, I mean, like the ability to drive down the businesses, like food costs and everything is like, it's very easy to do when you're not throwing anything away.
Thank you so much, Ken. We really appreciate you talking to us about your food.
Thank you so much for having me. My name is Ken Miller, and that's The Dish.
You can find a link to Ken's website in the show notes, plus beautiful food photography at michiganpublic.org. Today's episode was produced by myself and edited by Ronya Kabansag and Laura Weber Davis. Music for the show comes from Blue Dot Sessions and Audio Network. If you'd like to get in touch, email us at thedish@michiganpublic.org. We always want to hear from you. And if you have a foodie friend, share the pod with them. Thanks so much for listening. Until next time, happy eating.